to your favorite life drawing podcast, Life Studied, with me, Mike Hawthorne, and my good friend Mairin-taj Caya.
Hello.
Mairin-taj, how are you?
I'm alright. How are you?
Good. We are off schedule, so I have to apologize to everybody. I was traveling for work, so this show's a little late, but you're still getting it.
Yeah.
And we think it's episode 13.
Yes.
I'm not positive because I'm not good at planning. So, and we're in our new home at Curio Gallery and Art Supplies, Creative Supplies, I think they call it, in downtown Lancaster, which has been an amazing change of venue, I think, personally.
Yeah.
You can see on the screen here, they have a still life set up. They do a bunch of events back in this space. So, figure drawing. They have a sketchbook club. So they do life drawing, they do still lives, they do some demos and stuff back here. So they have art supplies, they have a gallery, and they have this cool space in the back here that we've been using to record the show. So I'm excited to be here. It's a cool space. Otherwise, yeah, well, I'll put a link in the description for their site. If you can't make it out to the shop, you can also order stuff from them online. And they are run by two artists, so they know whatever it is you need, they'll be able to guide you. So check them out. All right, so we finally got our act together. I got my act together, not you. You're fine.
Well, we were having scheduling issues for both of us, just like getting the right day, and then we were busy. So
yeah.
We're both here finally.
Yeah, and so this is August, and we were just talking about the weather, which I think is beautiful, but I guess is a little warm.
I'm struggling.
So yeah, and in terms of subjects, so today I was thinking about, so we're going into a new semester.
Yeah. Oh, when is that? Is that starting this month?
Yes. So the end of the month. I know, I am not ready. As a matter of fact, I have a convention literally the weekend before the first week of class. So I'm struggling a little bit. And I'm teaching a new class, which I haven't.
Yeah. So there's a lot to break into.
Yeah. I've been working on the syllabus for probably 2 months now. It's called observational drawing. So it's just not just figure drawing, it's drawing everything from observation.
That's really apt to this space, even just because we were saying they do observational drawing here.
Correct. So I'm going very old school. I'm I'm making the kids, I'm going to have them start two-dimensional with barred plates, doing very tedious barred drawings. If you don't know what that is, I'll put a link in the description to either some examples of barred plates or what it is. But the short of it is that this artist had a series of drawings that you're meant to copy, essentially, to learn proportions.
Right.
So we're going to start with that, then move to still lives, then move to the figure. So it's going to be like a faster version of what old school art schools would have been like.
Yeah.
Hopefully it goes well. Hopefully I don't mess it up.
No, you'll be fine. The kids will just be like, oh,
yeah,
what hit us?
Well, I mean, we had a class where I tried to introduce sight-size drawing, which is a way of drawing where you set up your paper so that it looks the exact size of, or rather, so you're drawing the thing, your subject, in this case, say this water bottle, the exact size, and you do a series of, checks, and they hated it very much. So.
Well, it was very foreign to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they see a lot of this like measuring with a pencil, and they have no idea what people are doing.
Yeah.
And then they mimic that movement, and they don't actually. I mean, there have been times when quite literally, I've seen them doing it, and I see them moving their thumb, and then they come over to the paper, and it they just made something up.
Yeah.
So
we'll
see how it goes. But yeah, I'm excited. And although it's going to be a bummer to be the first class I won't be teaching with you in years, my God.
Yeah.
Although we have figure at the end, so I'm hoping to at least drag you in for a couple of classes. We'll see if your schedule allows for it. But it's also got me thinking a lot about my own experiences in art school and doing lots of bad drawings. And losing track of them all. Like, it occurred to me recently, like, I don't have anything from college. Do you have anything that you held on to?
I do have some. Most of it's with my parents in the basement, but I have a few things with me.
I have maybe 3 paintings.
Yeah.
And I did dozens and dozens of paintings and God knows how many figure drawings. And I kind of regret it because I can't, like, review the tape, so to speak. I can't look at that stuff and see what was I getting, what wasn't I getting. And it's got me thinking about the benefit of bad drawings. Like, so, I don't know, I figured we'd talk about that.
I think that's great.
Cool. While I make some bad drawings.
Yeah. Hey, you got to put in the practice.
Yes. All right. So, if you're new to the show, the idea is that I draw while Mairin-taj, who is a professional artist and model, is modeling, and we're sort of talking about art while drawing.
Shop talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Fun stuff.
All right, I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay. Do you want to do 2 minutes?
Yeah, that's
to
fine.
start? Okay.
Yeah. And again, you're cleared to about here.
Okay. I'm not sure if I got in there.
YouTube will tell us if there's any problems, I guess. All right. So, bad drawings. I know you don't make bad drawings. So.
Oh, I've made loads. In fact, actually, I was just reminded, I was going through a weird exploratory patch in my watercolor painting many, many years ago. And I was struggling to kind of get in the flow with the watercolor. And I deliberately sat down and was like, all right, this is going to totally suck. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And I made like this little mini sort of like illustrative watercolor vignette of like a forest scene. And when I was done, I kind of was like aggressive about it, to be fair, but when I was done, I kind of like wrote into it. I made like a little like illustrative like plaque in the painting.
Oh God.
And I wrote into it the like something to the effect of the worst piece of art ever or something. And I still have that, and I actually, for over the years, like I actually have put it up in my studio and just looked at it very fondly. It's become a really fond little thing for me.
That is funny.
And,
so you went in, not to cut you off, you went in purposely saying, I know this is going to be bad, I'm going to do it anyway.
Oh yeah, I was not able to access whatever you want to call it, the flow, the inspiration.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm just going to intentionally do something shitty. And what's fun is that, and why I have a lot of fondness for it now, is that I can see in the watercolor, you know, kind of pockets of, not necessarily genius, but like pockets
magic.
of like, oh yeah, that's a great serendipitous moment, or that's a really lovely little moment there. And so just speaking to keeping your old shit or keeping your bad shit, you can see over time, and looking back, you can even find inspiration in that.
I'm so glad. I knew you'd have a great response to this particular thing, because that's exactly what I was thinking of, is that how often we sort of just immediately dump something that we say is bad.
Right, we chuck it, or we're like, I'm never gonna look at that again.
Correct.
Out of like the ego being hurt or whatever. But I think that it's useful to do some version of that kind of regularly. And I say that's like one moment that I distinctly remember, kind of because I like labeled it. I literally labeled it as crap. But I've done that loads. I've done that so many times with watercolor, with drawing, whatever.
That's hysterical. I mean, to me, it's hysterical because, you know, I think human nature is, you know, we wanna hide our
flaws.
Yeah, you know, and to go into it going, this thing is going to be all flaws, and I don't care because that's part of the process.
Right.
I think that's amazing. So.
And I guess looking back, it did kind of give me a bit of, you know, courage just to be like, all right, I'm embracing the flaw.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? So if you go in going, this is gonna be, it doesn't count. Right?
Yeah.
You're giving yourself the option to just throw it away if you wanted to. Obviously you didn't. That's freeing, right? Like,
it is.
That's amazing.
It is. It's ennobling for sure of the creative process.
Yeah.
I would say everyone should try to practice that to whatever degree, you know.
Right. There's that there's a David Bowie quote where he says something like, when you're making art, I'm probably gonna mess this up, but something to the effect of like, you should feel like you're in a pool and your feet are just barely touching the ground.
Ooh, yeah, you're kind of struggling a bit.
Yeah, not that you're drowning.
No.
But you recognize like this could go badly.
You have to work to keep your head above water.
Yeah. Yeah, and inevitably, for whatever reason with me, it happens on covers where I am certain, because it's kind of more pressure on doing the cover on us and the publisher to get it right. And I'm doing these covers and inevitably I start to freak out because I think of all the stuff I should be doing or could be doing. And then I think of that quote and I think, well, that probably means I'm on the right track.
Yeah, exactly.
But I love the idea of marking it in advance as if like, this is my practice run.
Yeah. Even being really bold and being like kind of what I did with that example.
Yeah.
This is for the shit pile.
The shit pile.
You know, like this is not even something I'm gonna look fondly back on. You know? which I ended up doing, which I think is the beauty of it, because whatever you tell yourself about whatever you're about to do, you don't know if that's gonna be what it is.
Correct.
You know.
Right.
So even if you tell yourself this is gonna be the worst thing ever, you're probably not gonna feel that way, which is very enlightening, I think.
I agree. I think it's really, really smart of you to approach it that way, right? Because you cannot help but be willing to experiment, be willing to try, even if it doesn't look like it's going to go anywhere. You're not doing it for something.
Yeah.
Which, we've talked about the idea of art as a product. When you just are doing it just for doing it, I think that's when I don't know about you, but that's when I always feel the best about the finished product. Especially because so much of what I do is for something, you know, like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for having at least a part of your practice not have to be designed towards a product.
Yeah. I mean, I'm at the point now in my career where even now, right? Like I love getting to draw with you, but here we are recording it and putting it on our Patreons, and I love getting that opportunity. But even this, which is a thing you would do for fun, is for something.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If you guys hear, there's some footsteps above us, so if that comes up on the sound, I apologize. We are in a working. This whole building so there's a gallery above us. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Right, so there's all kinds of stuff going on in this building. There's the art store, obviously, just outside the door, so.
And we're on one of the main streets of the city.
Correct. So there's lots going on, sorry. So the other thing about doing these kind of bad drawings, and I think this is where you start to grow as an artist, and I use a lot of sports analogy, which is probably not great for, but talk about reviewing the tapes. Like you can't help but come back to these drawings later and go, what worked, what didn't work.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to get better, you need those bad drawings.
Oh yeah.
So.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, and even for me, I maybe have a slightly unique situation in that I went to Waldorf school.
Yeah.
So in Waldorf school, what you do as a student is, how typically students have textbooks that they learn from. In Waldorf school, you make your own textbooks every block or everything that you're studying.
Correct.
So chemistry block, you're making a chemistry textbook based on the lectures that you get and the hands-on experiments you're doing and all that. And you do that for everything. So history, math, science, whatever. So I have all these main lesson books that I made that I wrote the lessons in with calligraphy and I illustrated myself.
Isn't that amazing?
As we all did, yeah. And I look back on those, like if I go and flip through them again, I wasn't making that thinking this was art or this was going to be, anything that I wanted to frame or look at in the future. But being an artist, I look back on those and I'm like, oh, I'm doing something really interesting here.
Yeah.
Or I really like like that little detail I put into that border, or I like how I solved that visual problem. And so in your old stuff, even the stuff that you did as a kid, where you didn't know and you didn't care,
Correct.
you know,
Yes.
you kind of, in your naivety, you come up with some pretty brilliant moves.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
that's informative to when you're like older and wiser and more learned as a practicing artist. You can take those brilliant moves and apply them again, but from a place of, you know, education and wisdom.
God, that's so amazing. Because my kids went to a Montessori school, which is similar. And you're right. There was this like emphasis on figuring the stuff out and then keeping track of your work, which is amazing. Like I wish I had something like that when I was a kid. But the idea of being able to revisit that, right? Because we all revisit our childhoods generally through a photo or something like that.
Toys or whatever.
Yeah, not a what was your mind and hand doing?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
which,
Exactly.
let me switch up the page here. Which is where the magic is, right? Like we've all, as artists, have all known this forever, right? Like you sort of learn through your hand and your eye. But now I think the world is starting to figure out that like just taking it in is not always enough. Like like students will ask me like, how do you remember all this anatomy stuff? And I'm like, because I sat down and wrote it all down and drew it over and over and over as a student. And then I reviewed again when I teach this class. Like there's something about the act of what you're describing, right? You're making your little art book.
Yeah. It helps you keep learning.
Yeah.
It's a process of learning.
Yeah, and it stays in there longer.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not so like flighty.
Yeah, right.
Which
You're
I
kind
think
of
is
grounding the learning process in something more physical, like muscle memory or whatever. Do you want to keep doing 2s or do you want to go to 5s?
What are you comfortable with?
Either. That's what I'm asking you.
Let's do 5s. How long have we been on here?
Probably like at least 15, right?
All right, so let's do 5s.
Yeah. Okay.
I have lost track of time and I can't see on here.
It's 12:40 now, but we probably started a little after. Like we probably started at 12:10 or whatever.
Yeah. All right. So let's figure. We'll do 5s.
Okay.
So those bad drawings, this kind of is going to lead into what I wanted to talk to you for the next show. But the idea of, does art education add something, even if you're not going to be an artist, does it add something to your way of thinking and problem solving, you know, like, and making those mistakes. I'm going to go back to my sports analogy, like when you check your past performances, like my oldest daughter was a track star when she was in high school, and she was, fastest girl on the team and all this stuff. And I remember I would sort of focus on the idea of like, my kid's the fastest, just because I was so proud of her.
Yeah.
A dork, but her goals were always to beat her past best, right? Because I always thought, how do you get faster if like you're already the fastest kid on the team? Other than obviously when you race other people, you're not always necessarily the fastest, although she was. But how do you improve? And it was always just through keeping track of your own past performances and then trying to beat those, right? Shave a fraction of a second off of a 200-yard dash or something.
Right.
And I think in art, we're looking to improve, and although the world of sports feels foreign to us, that way of checking yourself and using that to improve feels like the most direct route to improvement.
I think so, because you have something concrete that you can work off of. You can't really compare yourself too effectively to others, and largely because you just don't have everyone to be comparing yourself to and all their data, but you have your own data.
Plus, that would just make you miserable.
Yeah, exactly.
So looking at your old stuff and seeing the mistakes you made and improving on them, I don't know. Like I would pick up on weird habits I had. Like I still have this tendency to elongate the torso. As a matter of fact, I'm literally doing it right now. And so that's something I discovered just by making bad drawings and then making corrections. I also used to, elongate the neck like insanely. Everything got straight. I drew everything like El Greco, basically.
That's interesting.
I think it's an old habit from having, been a kid and drawn on my mom's kitchen table. And so I was always drawing horizontal.
The distortion.
Yeah, and so when you start, drawing the way you're supposed to vertically, all that stuff becomes very, very clear.
Are you also incorporating that into your class?
I'm hoping to, without being like really obvious about it. I'm hoping that by teaching proportions, like making you. So when we say proportions, we're literally like, there's a lot of things that come to mind. People tend to think how long an arm is, or a head, or a leg, or whatever. When I'm saying proportions, though, in a true sense, I mean like what's the height versus the width.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I struggled with. So I'm going to try. That's why I wanted to do the bark plates, because it forces you to just think two-dimensionally. Like when you're drawing a figure, you're having to interpret it from a 3D form to a 2D one. By working from those plates, you can't help but just go 2D to 2D, and it's easy to make direct measurements. So I'm kind of hoping that by doing it that way, that they will pick up on like, oh, I have made this too long versus the height or whatever.
Yeah, checking that.
Yeah. There's a cool shadow on your face. It's like literally a sliver of light going down your nose. Yeah.
I love when that happens. Seconds.
Oh no. That's just probably as far as I can get with that anyway. Let me check the time here.
Alright. Where are we at? 45.
So you want to do maybe one or two more and then call it?
Okay.
Because I'm not sure how long this stream has been on, unfortunately.
Okay.
So, or we can do one more. That probably makes more sense.
I'm getting warm.
Oh no.
We're gonna have to put the fan on for the next one.
All right. Where is it actually?
We don't need to do it now.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
But when I think back about anything that I do, I think I get excited about the stuff I've kept and being able to kind of leaf through it or go over it every once in a while, because I know that there might be something in there that I didn't see when I was doing it.
Correct.
And I think that that's the hidden, the silver lining in what we, in the moment, deem crappy work. Is like, oh, there's still something there, you're just not ready to see it yet.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, I have this writer friend, and I was reading his Substack, and he said, procrastination, I'm going to mess up this quote. He says, it's you putting off stuff you're not ready to do yet.
Yeah.
But he meant it in the sense of like artwork.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think you're not ready to see things as they are sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
In the moment, anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, part of it, we all do it. We get these expectations or these ideals about our work, and that gets in the way of the process.
Yeah. The one good habit that I've had for a while is the ability to just like make the marks and make corrections, but not get too wrapped up in it till later.
Yeah.
I can draw this thing and not be thinking, oh man, is this terrible? In the moment, and then come back to it later and be able to really assess it better.
Yeah, and that I think we learn that through practicing and just time.
Yeah.
We can hone that the more we mature as creative people, I think.
yeah, I had set a rule for myself where any of my published work, because you get they mail you comps, and your instinct is to like rip it open and see what it looks like. And I would do that and just have these not literally panic attacks, but just hate everything about it.
Yeah.
Because there's something about it being finished and permanent where like you see all the mistakes you couldn't see while you were working on it. And so I made this rule for myself where I don't allow myself to look at any of my published works for at least 3 months, preferably 6.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a good rule.
And and it's helped keep me sane. And also after those 3 to 6 months, I'm able to look at the thing and go, all right, there are some mistakes, but all in all, it's actually pretty good. And then make a correction based on those actual mistakes I saw versus the ones you imagined.
Yes, that's great. Space from our work is very important.
Yeah. What's that thing? Body dysmorphia or something where you can't tell what you actually look like.
Yeah.
There's an art. There has to be an art version of that.
Oh, absolutely. I think so. And it seems to be like it exists, I think, and it also seems to constantly be like moving and changing on you. It's like a problem that you can never pin down.
Like I got it fixed, and then you do another drawing, and then there it is.
I mean, it's such a simple concept we're talking about, you know, like don't fear your process, don't fear the quote-unquote mistakes, the bad ones, the less than ideal ones. But it's something that's so prevalent, especially when we're working with the students at the school. They're terrified of not having a masterpiece every time. Yeah,
you see kids literally rip drawings out of their sketchbooks because, oh God, someone might see them.
Yeah.
Where you're like, you know, my son was, you know, he has sort of given it up, but he was a really good artist, and he would just tear out entire sections of sketchbook that just would break my heart. So like, let me hold on to it then at least, please, so that I can look at the stuff.
And so you can keep it for him to see
in
the future.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I agree. So, if we leave you with anything during the show, it's that bad drawings are good.
Yeah, there's always something worthwhile.
Yeah.
You know, but I wouldn't want to advocate anyone to become like a crazy hoarder.
Right.
On the other side of the spectrum.
Or also like don't treat it like I just have to do X amount of push-ups and then I'm done.
Yeah, right.
Each drawing has to make you a little uncomfortable.
Yes.
Or there's no growth.
Yes.
If you're doing a drawing and going, yeah, that's pretty cool, I'm pretty awesome, then that's not a growth drawing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, but all right, cool session actually.
Yeah.
That last pose was fun. There was like cool stuff going on with the arms.
Awesome. I was kind of thinking like Degas a little bit.
Yeah, actually, the last two, in fact, there was kind of a ballet thing going on with that first one.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. Well, thank you. That was fun.
Yeah, thank you.
And your insight is always amazing, so I appreciate that. And thank you guys out there for watching the show. You get the show a week early on either of our Patreons, but then we, make it available to the public about a week to 10 days later.
Yeah.
But if you become a patron, you support the show, you support our work, and we can make more of this stuff. So we appreciate you. Thank you so much, and thank you to the folks at Curio. Again, I'll link their. I'm talking and I keep seeing mistakes, and that. I'll link to the Curio website. They're an amazing store. If you're anywhere in Central PA, they're worth the drive to check out. Downtown Lancaster is also very cool.
Absolutely. Good foodie spot.
Yes. If you're into.
Come here to get art supplies and look at art and eat.
Stay to eat. Yeah, absolutely. But they're also hugely supportive. Like this whole this transition from PCAT over to here has been amazing. So thank you to them. I'll put a link to their store. They'll special order stuff. They've done that for me, which is awesome. So thank you, and we'll see you next episode.